This is Intrepid Bear, a 40-foot sailboat off to explore the world with her crew Ian and Kate.
Come aboard and let's see what's out there.
So oil's okay, water's okay, gearbox oil's okay, and the bilge is clear. Oh, and the fuel filter is nice and clear. So farewell to Nafpaktos. It's an interesting little place, cracking little harbour. We probably didn't do it justice because we were both a bit knackered really. Don't know why, I don't know if it's too hot. We did have a couple of drinks with friends, which also slows you down a bit. But yeah, we're both kind of worn out. So we tried to go up the castle yesterday and just did it at the wrong time of day. It was too hot. And so we didn't do as much as maybe we could have done in Nafpaktos. So now we're moving on. We're heading towards possibly Galaxidi as we go on through the day. The wind's against us, so it's probably going to be a motoring day unless we tack a little bit. But we'll wait and see. There's loads of anchorages down the Gulf here because it's pretty sheltered in the Gulf. So we'll head on down, see what we find. So the wind is really tight on the port bow right now, but we're trying to get up to this place called Galaxidi on the north side of the Gulf. But if we just actually sail down the Gulf, we'll have a nice sailing breeze. We've got a 10 or 11 knots on the bow at the moment. We may not end up at Galaxidi if we do that, but the wind is supposed to turn around later in the day. So if we just go with it, who knows where we'll end up. So that's what we're going to do. Just so I can. Okay, so the sails are winched in as tight as they can go basically. The jib sheet car, which is this thing here, slides forward and backward on that track. And when we want to go really close to the wind, it has to be as far back as it can go, which it is now. The telltales are flying. We're sailing, only doing about 2.6 knots, but making progress, and we can probably turn the engine off, I reckon. What do you think?
I think let's go for it.
Here you go.
Thank you, baby.
So you're just going to be releasing when I say. So we're doing 035 at the moment. Ready about?
Yep.
Hee-ho. Hold, 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 hold. And release. So our destination is pretty well upwind, but what I want to do is I need to get as far to port as I can, so as far over to port side of the boat as I can, but the wind is coming quite close from that direction, so I can't get as high as I want to. But the wind is supposed to swing through the day around that way, so what I'm doing is I'm watching the telltales up on the sail, the woolies as some people call them, but the pieces of wool that stream on the sail, and every time the inner one breaks and sort of goes wobbly, that means I'm too close to the wind, so I'll come away a little bit. Every time the outer one goes wobbly, which on this occasion is green because we're on that tack, then I let the sail, I can either let the sail out, or if I want to, I turn more up to the wind. So when the outer one breaks, I turn a little bit further into the wind. If the inner one breaks, then we just have to go bear away a little bit. And as the wind comes around, then that each time the wind comes around, the outer one will break if the wind comes around in our favour, and I can pull a bit further up into wind and hopefully get closer to our destination. So I'm steering the whole time to the telltales. One day soon we'll have wind instrument will be linked to the autopilot and it'll be able to do it itself. But at the moment I have to do it each time the wind shifts. So I just sit watching the telltales as the boat sails along. It's quite pleasant in this wind. We're only doing 2.5 knots, sometimes 3, but it's very relaxing. Just press a button every now and again when I notice that the telltales are lifting. So yeah, it's really nice. Handy thing with modern technology is I can sit up here, keep an eye out everywhere. I've got my remote control for the autopilot so I can steer from here. Watching the telltales, if I need to bear away a bit I can do it on the remote control. If I need to come up a bit I can, and also I can see where I'm going with Navionics on the phone, or I can even Wi-Fi into the actual plotter to see where we're going and control the plotter from up here as well. If I had the iPad up here I could actually drive the autopilot from the iPad, but I don't need to because I've got the remote control and the iPad's a bit bigger to carry. But with my phone on Navionics, remote control, I can just control the boat from up here, because actually right now it's much cooler up here. The sails are shading the deck. So we just had a major wind shift. Totally went like 50 degrees. We were both sat up here and suddenly the sail just came across and just literally whacked around. But actually it's given us a good angle for where we want to go, to a place called Panormus. And that's where we're going to go tonight, because we can then get a good angle on the wind across the Gulf tomorrow down towards Corinth. Only trouble is the wind's now died, so we've got the engine on very lightly with the sails. We've got a couple of hours across there, so it'll be 8 o'clock by the time we drop the anchor. But still, we've got some shade on the bow and a lovely breeze. So we've got this big charter catamaran over on our starboard bow now. They're going quite slowly. I can hear music. They should give way because they're under engine and we're under sail, and by the rule of the road they should clear away from us. But they're not doing much at the moment to give us a clue what they're doing. I think they are slowly pulling ahead of us, but I need to keep a close eye on them. So there he goes, clear ahead. Thank God for that. I nearly had to get off my butt and do something then. Okay, we've slowed right down, the wind's coming onto the nose, so I think we're not going to tack up and down all night because it's 7:05 now. I think we're going to fire up the donkey. Just a general 1500 revs, just to get us there in a sensible time, because the ETA's been an hour and 10 minutes for about 2 hours now, because we've just been slowing down and slowing down. So we're going to get going and just get up there and drop the anchor. It's gone proper flat out here now. There's like not a breath, so hopefully we'll have a nice flat evening. But we'll drop the mainsail. There you go, drop the hook, about 3 or 4 meters of water. It's a bay called Panormus. I don't know if that's correct pronunciation. The sun has gone down behind the hills here, which is actually quite nice because it's been flipping hot. Never complaining about the sunshine, but it has been hot. But it's still on the hills over there, and in the distance it looks like a really nice bay. So might have a little splash in a minute just to cool down, and then we'll just chill out for the evening. One glorious morning in this bay called Panormus. Really nice. I'd like to stay a bit longer actually, but we're pushing on to get through Corinth, and we've got to be down in Naxos in early August, 8th of August. So we need to get on because we want to get there early. I mean, we could get there in 3 or 4 days if the weather was good, but we've learnt now that you just can't rely on the weather, and there's a thing called the Meltemi, which is a wind that sets in for days down in the Aegean, and if that holds us up for a week or more, then we could be running late. So we're going to get going, but it's a lovely bay, but it's a hot day. They're forecasting 36, 37 degrees today, so it's already really hot. Hence we're basically indoors sitting by the fans until we get going, but cracking spot. So I'm just rigging the main halyard. I normally do this as one of the pre-sail checks, but it's so hot that I want to do it while we're underway, so it's cooler up here with the wind blowing. Normally do it before we go because any rolling, obviously standing up here is not very safe. So we normally do it before we leave, but as it was so hot, I thought we'd get out in the breeze and do it as we're going along. So it's meant to be like 37 degrees today, so it is hot.
One of the other consequences of the heat is our decision making what we'll do. We'd always said that we wouldn't try and visit any sort of places of particular tourist interest in the height of summer, mainly for the crowds. But now heat is an added factor in that. I've been told it's a beautiful place called Delphi, which I hadn't researched many places around here before. But Delphi is supposedly the navel of the world, the centre of the world, it was known as. But it's beautiful, the temples of Apollo, etc. And I would love to go. But one, crowd is off-putting, and two, 37 degrees. It would be absolutely hell. So, we're just going to sail and be on the water where it's cool. We have definitely learned to slow down, having no timetable, and actually moving in this weather is so much nicer than staying still. So if we spend all day tickling along and we only do 10 miles in the right direction, 10 miles out on the water being cool and shaded.
Seems to be a thing every time we have something to eat or a drink, the wind picks up. Suddenly we've got 15 knots and we're heeling over again, having to depower the main, and it's all backed and a bit messed up now, but we're still doing 5.7 knots, and yeah, it's all right.
Where are we going to? Reef 1 or 2?
2. I just need you to try and luff up, but not too far, babes. We don't want to tack, okay? Okay, whenever you're ready. Don't need to go right up to the wind, just taking the pressure out of this sail. It will flap a bit. No, that's good. And back on course.
We spent that day and the next day tacking back and forth across the Gulf of Corinth, in winds that varied continuously by the hour between 0 and 30 knots, but slowly and surely we closed in on our goal.
So by just releasing that reliever there, that's the out haul. So that releases the end of the sail and lets the sail become much more bulbous, and that powers it up more. When you want to reduce the power in the sail because it's getting too windy, you flatten the sail totally down. And the other thing that adds a bit more power is to bring the main sheet up the Traveller a little bit. This is the Traveller. So pull this up to the windward side. And that will add a bit more power. And perhaps even sheet in the main a bit as well. I'll try all these things and just see what happens, but we're going okay again now. We got back up to about 11 knots and we're doing 5 knots of speed with an ETA of 37 minutes. It did drop right down just now, so that'll probably do for now. So approaching the city of Corinth, right at the end of the Gulf of Corinth. Big mountains over here, wind coming down off the mountains. Difficult to actually see where the canal is. It's somewhere right in front of us over there, but can't actually 100% identify. I think we've got an idea it's over there, but can't really see it from this level. But anyway, got about 13 minutes. We're going to head into Corinth Harbour if it's sheltered. If not, we'll need to go up and shelter underneath these mountains and find a flat anchorage up there somewhere, because if we can't go in the harbour, we'll have to do something else. But yeah, so approaching the Corinth Canal. It's literally just here. Be a couple of days till we go through, because we're going to do some bits and pieces tomorrow. But yeah, quite a voyage.
Lines on. Just toot around if you may.
So Corinth Harbour is a cute little spot, but there's a few bits missing from the pontoons. Notably this pin here. So I felt the need to tie the pontoon onto the other bit so that Intrepid Bear can't drift away.
That rickety pontoon and the weather kept us on our toes, but we are now poised to pass through the mighty Corinth Canal. Please do join us next time when we wait for the wind to ease before wondering at the man-made marvel that is the Corinth Canal.